Ah, Good morning to you all. Bright and early, sun's just coming up. And yeah, we just had a beautiful retreat this weekend that we hosted at our home, and just for two people, couple. One of them had come before and just really had a great time last year, and she brought her partner back. And I was thinking about it, and they were asking us about doing reviews and how can we like support and share about this. And it just kind of funny. It's funny to talk about this on social media, but it was funny to think about how um, social media can't really hold a T to somebody being excited about something. It's like, oh yeah, of course, if you could write something or film a video, and that's fine. But the reality is like just somebody being lit up in the world and sharing that experience with somebody else. And even if they don't share about the retreat, but just the feelings that emanate, and the excitement and the inspiration that comes from being here. If you can just go live your life and share with people, inspire other people, like that is the real juice. And I understand from a marketing perspective why people are like, you got to get the testimonial and you got to have the nice website and you got to convince people and have all these reasons. Um, I went to marketing school. I get all that stuff, and yet to me the true juice and what I always try to focus on is what is the inspiration that you can create and instill within somebody that they can just go live their life. One of the things that one of the people at the retreat was talking about, she was just saying how like I look forward to seeing in like 10 years some of the ripples and the effects of just being here and spending time with y'all, because she had come just in September and she said her life had changed so drastically ever since that. And so just to imagine like 10 years in the future, and the subtle changes that happen over time, is really profound. So part of the concept of our retreats is that we call them sacred rest, and we've just come to see that there's so many people that are kind of stuck in the healing trap, and they're going from guru to guru, or book to book, or podcast to podcast, and healing technique to healing technique, and training to training, and maybe they get something great out of it, but after a while it kind of fades, and then somebody else tells them about this new thing that changed their life, and you got to come to this thing, and then they sign up for that. And again, I understand that rat race, and I understand also the beauty of it, and the pure genuine curiosity around expansion and growth. All that makes sense. And yet if we get to this place where we're just constantly thinking something's wrong with us and trying to find the next thing, it gets so tiring. So the reason we created Sacred Rest is just a way to kind of rest from that. And I even told the participants, and I tell all retreat participants, it's like, we're not here to promise anything. We're not going to say that your life is going to forever change and you're going to experience these incredible mind-altering whatever things. It's not what this is about. That if that happens, great, but that's not my intention. I'm not going into it saying, oh, you've signed up for a retreat, you've come here, it's my duty to transform your life. No, the truth is, people that come to our retreats, their lives have already been transformed. They've already woken up, and now they're looking to see what it looks like just to live life from that place. I consider myself a tour guide. I'm like, hey, look around. That's the sun, and there's a garden there, and go walk in it barefoot, and smell the tomato vines, and commune with the goats and the chickens, and just be more connected to these experiences. So the reason I say this is because, and not to sell you to come to a retreat, although you're welcome to join, and of course there's a link in our bio which you can learn about the retreats and da 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 da. But the reason I talk about this is much more on a subtle level of what is real change. When we're living in this process of always trying to better ourselves all the time, it can be easy to get lost in what really matters. I see people that become professional healers, and I don't mean like it's their job to heal others, but I mean like they become a professional person at healing themselves, and they're so good at knowing all their traumas, and they're so good at knowing all their stories and their patterns and their beliefs, and they have all the techniques to work on it, and yet they don't know how to do anything else. If you've been in this situation, no shame. I get it. But at some point, it's like, okay, what's next? Now that I've woken up and I've seen the world, do I keep trying to dig deeper into my karmic beliefs and my ancestral patternings? Or do I start doing simple things like living my life, like growing food, or maybe helping other people, or yeah, in our case, homesteading and working with animals and just doing these basic things, learning how to preserve our foods, learning how to cook and make bread and share them with others and bring people together, and just create love on a plate and share that with somebody. And that's been like the juice for us. I see how easy it is to connect to the high highs and really desire these like wild, wild ecstatic moments all the time. And I see nothing wrong with seeking those moments at times. But if we're always looking for the high, or we're always going to do ayahuasca because we think, oh, it keeps blasting my head off, and that's the real juice. Um, the real juice is in the integration of the things that we've seen. We can't stay in those places forever. We can't stay in that high forever, nor should we. And it might seem like the greatest thing when we see the nature of the universe and we're instantly enlightened and it all makes sense. But that's the false, that's the ego desiring something that it believes is more than it already has. And the truth is, when you start to see the subtle magic in the mundane, you start to see how it all fits together, that is the real juice. That's the real magic. That's when you really start to develop these quote unquote superpowers. Um, the ability to work on your health and expand your health and understand what it means to be really vibrant and alive, and to have a level of discernment, so you're not just listening to what other people are saying from blind fear-based beliefs. You're actually tuning into what makes sense to you. That to me is the juice. That's the magic. So if you're someone who's looking for something outside of yourself or grander than yourself, realize that the magic is just being alive, being able to take a nice deep breath in, see the sun, feel the wind in your face. It might not seem sexy, it might not seem externally as rewarding in the moment, but over time, these subtle shifts, these subtle changes, this subtle awareness, that becomes everything. And if we're always stuck trying to blast it all through and find the highest peaks all the time, we're missing what's really there. And I'm not saying that I'm right, or this is the doctrine or the dogma. It's just what's made sense to me and made sense to us, and why we do what we do, why we host these retreats, why we teach sourdough. I don't teach sourdough because I think everybody has to make sourdough and sourdough's going to change the world and the gluten scares all lies. It's like, no, I like connecting people with these simple meditative processes, because under the surface of what making sourdough is something really beautiful. It's a way to create a sense of meditative presence in the kitchen. It's a way to put love into food and to feed other people, and bread brings people together. Good, well-cooked, love-made food, it really brings people together and starts to create connection, starts to create conversations around what it can mean to live in harmony and live in community and all these different things. So that's really what it is. I'm not trying to be like a sourdough bread teacher. And the book I wrote, Fermenting with Your Best Friend, it's also not just a normal book on fermentation. There's plenty of people that know way more than I do. It's really trying to understand these more subtle concepts and see how it all fits together. And when we connect to these invisible microbes and yeast and things in the air, or aliens, or whatever you want to call them, and we start to understand what they're doing and how we can support them to do what they do best, we start to see the transformation that occurs, and thus our lives transform.